This video is being recorded at 6:11 p.m. Pacific time on Monday, August 29th. So I just want to quickly do an update and share a trade that I did not take. It was on USDJPY. This is the daily chart right here. So last Friday, there was a bullish setup bar that engulfed 2 or 3 of the previous bars right here. And while doing the weekly analysis, I was looking at USDJPY to potentially take a trade on this week. I was looking to set a profit target of the previous high right here, made back on July 14th. So my idea was that if this breakout on the lower time frames continue, I would probably have maybe 140 to 150 pips to trade even before it hit the most previous high. So yeah, I was basically looking to try and capture the room in between. And we could see that today, Monday, that did happen. The buyers broke out of this high made on August 23rd, and it is going up to the previous resistance here. So yeah, you can see on the 4-hour chart, this move basically started as soon as the Sydney and Tokyo sessions opened, which would have been Sunday afternoon, my time. So I actually saw this setup happen, and my alerts got triggered as it crossed above the previous high here. The reason why I did not take this trade was because I was outside. I was away from my desk. And also by the time I was able to come back to the charts, it was already the end of the Tokyo session and almost the beginning of the London session. So had I taken this trade, I probably would have taken this trade after this previous high breakout here, which was when I got alerted to this setup. I probably would have watched it for a little while, but assuming I wait for the candle close of the 1-hour chart, the soonest I could have gotten in was maybe at the 137.9 level. So yeah, measuring from that, it probably would have been, it was a 130 pip move, but yeah, I would probably still be in this trade had I entered. So right now I would maybe be up 70 or 80 pips. And then for better clarity, here's how the 5-minute chart unfolded. So yeah, you can see on last Friday's close, it was a very strong close on $JPY. Not only did the buyers make it back through all this volatility, but it shows the bears had 2 chances to try and push this down, but that didn't happen. And then New York actually closed right at the high. So whenever you see this kind of pattern where there was a struggle and then it approaches the previous high with low volatility, meaning there's not big moves to try and get back up here, it may be the smaller traders in the market who are taking a position and anticipating a breakout in the next session. It's kind of common to see this patterns at the end of the week in the Forex markets and end of the day in the stock markets, because the people who can move the market, they've already tried at an earlier point. That is where you see the volatility. And then the smaller individuals in the market who can't move the price as much, they are taking their opportunity to put on positions, and as a whole, they could be moving the price slowly in a certain direction. And the reason why the people who can move the market do not place their orders is specifically due to the session close reason, because for whatever reason they cannot keep their positions while the market is not open. Maybe they're afraid of the market gapping in one direction or another. So that is the psychological reason why this high volatility but transitions into low volatility, but yet ends up closing near the high or the low. But yeah, for myself, I just didn't have the time to get involved. I actually saw this trade happen after I got home, and I was thinking if it would be a good opportunity for me to enter on the lower time frames. For example, each of these 5-minute breakouts of the previous highs, I could have entered. I was even thinking about entering at this candle here, where it was a big break above the previous high. But I chose not to, specifically for this reason was because the Tokyo session, where there is liquidity behind the Japanese yen, was about to close. And the London session would have opened, which is not the native time for either of these currencies. And also that I recognized there was not as much room to trade to the previous top. There was only maybe 40 or 50 pips by the time I noticed this move. So yeah, for me, I just recognized there's not a lot of risk reward left to me, even though the move did unfold as I anticipated. And I hope you find this helpful as an example to see it's not always important to get involved in the markets just because you see a technical setup that confirms your edge and is a part of your system to trade. You don't always have to take it, especially if you don't have time or you don't feel like trading or you don't feel like you would trade well. That's just an edge of itself in your personal execution. If you can't execute, it doesn't matter how many good technical setups are presented to you. You're probably not going to trade as well as you can. And you know which trades you have executed well in the past and you haven't. So just keep this in mind. There's always opportunities in the markets. So yeah, for USDJPY for myself, I'm still waiting on the next breakout to see if I'm going to get involved. So what can happen now potentially on the daily chart? So right now it's the Asian session, and USDJPY is actually looks like it's selling off to its support here. But at the end of the Asian session, it could be a different story. Maybe people could be buying and the price could be back towards the high already. And maybe it could break out in the London session. We don't know. There's just unlimited possibilities. But yeah, for me, if I'm going to get involved, it'll probably have to be after the breakout of the previous high. Remember, this daily candle hasn't closed yet, so it could, for all purposes, end in a huge bullish candle like these previously. Or this breakout can fail in the next few days. Maybe it'll trade sideways around here and then fail afterwards, in which case then there's no reason for me to get involved. But yeah, I think the important thing is, you know, if you're not at the right place and the right time and it passes, then just recognize the opportunity isn't as good as it once was, and just wait for the next perfectly set up opportunity.